Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and if this is your first time, thank you so much for taking the time to click on this video. On today's video, I'll be reviewing the book of poetry by R.c. Mayowe, who is a self-published author based in Zimbabwe. Déjà is a compilation of poems that is divided into 5 chapters. There's Letters to My Father, there is Telepathy Between Hearts, Love Yourself, Letters to Myself, and The Other Side of Happiness. And in each and every single chapter there are a number of poems, and in the poems you can see that they're quite emotional, and her diction is quite easy to decipher, because most poetry books, they kind of have this old English tone to them, and when people hear poetry or poems, they easily think, oh, Shakespeare, or books which have to do with rhyming or sonnets or that kind of thing. But with r.u.d.o's poetry, it's quite easy to understand, even for a basic reader, someone who rarely reads. It's quite easy to understand. And in each and every single chapter, as they're divided into 5, you can see how she's pouring her heart out on paper. As a debut book, I think this is a very fantastic read. I read throughout the books and the poems, and I have a few favorites, and I'll be reading one from each chapter after obviously getting permission from the author. So the first poem I'm going to read is from the first chapter, which is Letters to My Father. This resonates with people who've lost a loved ones, or people who are struggling to find the words to express themselves after they've lost someone who they love dearly. It could be a parent, it could be a sibling, it could be anyone who you were very close to, and you kind of struggling with words to say. So I'll read one of my favorites. Today I'm missing home. By home, I mean you. But where you are, I can't reach, until I too am called to come. So I keep pushing, just like you taught me, taking baby steps to reach the goals we set together. I wish heaven had a phone. I'd call and tell you how far I'd come. You'd be proud of me, I'm sure. So this is my favorite from Letters to My Father. You can see how she's yearning and longing for a father. And the thing that really tugged at my heart was like wishing heaven had a phone, because when you miss someone, when you know you can't reach them by any means at all, you kind of get to a point of desperation. But knowing that they will not come back at all, it kind of takes you into a place of despair. And it's quite good that she kind of got a way to express that. The second chapter is Telepathy Between Hearts, and there's a compilation of poems which have to do with longing or yearning, you know, like words unsaid, like the battles which we have with our emotions, what we want to say and what we really want to say, the difference between what we say and what we really want to say. And I'll read one of my favorites from that section. I'm curious about you. Curious to know what makes you laugh and what makes you mad. Curious to know how you like and how you love. Curious to know how your mind works and what your beliefs are. Curious about how your body will respond to my touch. Will you lean into me seeking my softness? I wonder. Curious to know what heights you would take me to when you sip from my cup. Curious to know if you taste as good as you look. Curious to know if my soul will run to or from you. I'm curious to know you. So what I like about this poem is kind of, it describes your feelings, or what exactly your emotions when you have a crush. Yeah, more or less when you have a crush, like when you're really excited or anticipating what it's going to be like when you see that person, or how it's going to be like when you get into a relationship with that person. And I don't think it only resonates with women, but also with men. So it kind of like taps into that wave of emotions when you really need to understand, or rather get to understand your feelings as to what exactly will be going on in the relationship when you get into the relationship. The third section, which is The Other Side of Happy, it has a compilation of poems which have to do with depression and trying to pick yourself up, more or less when you're in that state of depression and you just feel the world is against you and you're fighting your demons and that kind of thing. So I'll read one of my favorites which really resonated with me. It kind of has like well, in my own opinion and how I resonated with it, it has this feel of, you know, how as Black women we're termed as being strong, and how we're termed as people who can take on everything because we're so strong emotionally, spiritually, mentally, in each and every sector. But with this poem, it kind of shows you that we're human too. We cry and we have emotions, we break down, we're not as strong as perceived. So yeah, I'll read. She smiles and moves around like everything is fine, but deep down her soul is broken and tired. She weeps and waits for me to acknowledge her grief, waits for me to let the tears I hold in slip. She whispers to me, it's time to grieve and let go, and I think it's time to listen. She is I. So what I like about this poem, it kind of like describes the characteristics or the stereotypes of being a strong black woman, in the sense that at the end of the day, as much as you try being strong for everyone around you, you have to face yourself at the end of the day. If you're not strong, well, not if you're not strong, but you get to a point when you're tired, and that's okay, you're a human being. For example, I take days, or rather on my calendar I have days where I just cry, and for me that's very therapeutic. I cry, and I think for me that's something which is very good because it works for me. So I would encourage, if you think it also works for you, that's fine. Strength doesn't mean you don't have to show emotions. I think if you're a very strong person, it means you can be transparent, you can be vulnerable, and as long as you know the reason why you're being vulnerable, I think that's very important too. So that's my favorite poem from that chapter, because it kind of resonated with me through this journey that I'm taking of life, getting to know myself, getting to understand myself, getting to know that even as an African woman, it's okay for me to cry. It's okay for me to say I can't do that. It's okay for me to say no. I don't always have to be strong. I don't always have to be okay. It's okay for me to have a bad day. It's okay for me not to want to talk. That's completely normal. So yeah, that's the one of the reasons why I like this. The fourth section, it's called Love Yourself, and this is a compilation of friends she wrote for her friends, those who came to confide in her, those who trusted her. So she kind of wrote poems for them, about them, in that kind of way, in the sense that she kind of put it on paper how exactly she felt, what she wanted to tell them. And I'll read one of my favorites. My king, you're more than a statistic or a sad story on the news. You come in many forms, big, strong, small, and tall, and each a blessing like a rainbow after the rain. Your mind is as deep as the undiscovered depths of the ocean. Your skin rich and soft to the touch, a blend of the most perfect shade of chocolate, enticing. Your eyes hold an eternal flame, drawing us in like moths, yet we do not burn. Your strength is unparalleled. You carry the world on your shoulders with such ease and a smile on your perfect face. How can you be a statistic when the strength of 1,000 suns reside in you, my king? So this is one of my favorite, in the sense that as someone who has a brother, someone who has a father, it kind of resonated with me because of how they are portrayed in the media. If you watch news, obviously, like if you in the West, how black people are portrayed as, you know, if they're big, tall, or in whichever form, as long as you're black, you like already your target. And I like this because it's very encouraging to our kings, our black men, how they can be a statistic when there's strength of 1,000 suns which resides in them. So this is one of my favorite, because also for generations to come, it's very encouraging for the younger generation, for the older generation. I think it kind of sums up for them to kind of know and understand the beauty and the strength, and for them to know that they appreciate and they're loved, and that they do not have to be a statistic because of the color of their skin. So yeah, this is one of my favorite. I really enjoyed this one. And from the last and final chapter, which is Letters to Myself, I will read one of my favorites. This one is more to do with self-love, self-care, and how you can pick yourself up, and how you actually move from the other side of happiness into happiness by yourself. And I would like to read one of my favorite, which I think was written for me because I'm this kind of person. So, speak into existence what your heart desires. but each time I try to, the words say, stay lost in my throat. As I try and overcome the fear of being rejected and hurt. Loving is always hard when your heart has been broken. Speak into existence what your heart desires and watch the universe work its magic. This, out of all of them, has to be my favorite because I'm someone who struggles with speaking things into existence. I don't know why. I always think like, oh, maybe I'm not good enough, or maybe it's not for me, that kind of thing. I have had this mentality from a very long time, and I'm actually working on divorcing it now. And I really like this because at the end she just tells you to speak into existence what your mind desires. And also as a Christian, we're told that the tongue, it holds power. So speaking things into existence is something that is highly encouraged. And to sum up this book of poems, it has over 100 poems, like I said before. And if you're someone who struggles with expressing your words, let's say if you have someone you want to tell something, you could use this book of poems. It's what you're feeling, but you just don't know the words to say it. So I really don't think it's cheating. You're just getting help to express yourself. Nothing wrong with that. And yeah, I really did enjoy this book. I'll say though, one thing that surprised me was the size of the book, because I'm so used to poetry books being quite small. But that's the beauty of African literature. You write the way you want. You write the way you want, and you do what works for you. You don't have to like follow a certain pattern or follow like what other people are doing. As long as it works for you, that's good enough. So the beauty with poems is it's just in the moment. It's never more than 2 pages. It's just 1 page, just captures the moment, the emotion it's trying to evoke, and then that's it. And the book is not very thick that you would hesitate, and on each page there's a poem. So it's also, if you're looking into writing or publishing your own book, this is a great book to look at if you don't really know the kinks of how to write poetry as a first timer, or you're trying to publish, because this is a self-published book, so she doesn't know what she's doing. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. Please don't hesitate to like, comment and share the video. Until next time, bye.